We're actually live now, so if I am taking this for granted, then we're all screwed. But I assume you're comfortable just being live, and like this is pretty informal. So
I'm always live.
that is like it's one of the benefits of like pulling people on that are used to this sort of stuff. Is like it's just us hanging out and chatting. So there's nothing. I
did get to hang out with Taylor yesterday.
Taylor Desson?
Yes, he
in
helped
person?
me out. No, I should have because we were both live streaming from the same city.
And you didn't do it together?
No,
you were
I
live
should
streaming together? Like in the same.
So at Zeal, we did like a masterclass thing talking about recession proofing your career, and we put it together a panel, and so he was on the panel.
Nice.
So yeah,
love it.
He had great stuff to say.
Love it.
Nice.
Anthony's in the Twitch. In the chat on Twitch. What's
in
up?
the Twitch.
AJC.
Is he twitching?
He's in the Twitch. That should be a thing.
It's better than tooting.
Yes, that is better. Brad is hanging out with Brad. Oh, he already called it out.
Yep, there you go. He knew.
Ignore.
I do love those sleeves. Let's talk about those sleeves.
The sleeves are cool. This one. Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. So the flip side of that is we were talking about behind the scenes. When will there be Astro swag so I can wear it morning, noon, and night? Is that the phrase? I don't know.
It's a lifestyle brand. I mean, it'll be day wear, night wear, and space wear. Combination.
Yes. To Mars.
No, for sure.
Mars and back.
I mean, I used to start live streams with the helmet on, but I stopped doing it. It's hard to breathe in. You just do it for like just a little bit.
I love
it. But I'd love to have that as like a limited run of just like astronaut helmet, little Astro logo on top or something, or a sticker set to customize it. I don't know. But yeah, swag is coming.
I approve.
Swag is definitely coming.
Sweet. And we decided the swag store is most likely going to be built with Astro. And don't know what the behind the scenes is, which that's one of my. So we've still got swag for compressed on the backlog to get done. I want to make priority learn, build, teach swag. I want to make learn, build, teach swag a priority for me, and this will be different, Amy, because I'll just do like drop ship stuff instead of like actually order or take orders and then order, then distribute, etc. But I want to get that out next year.
I'm the curse in that in that conversation.
It's a good thing though, because like Amy's big concern is like quality of stuff to make sure it's the best quality. So
yeah, how are you guys doing swag, Ben? Are you doing drop ship or do you have a supplier?
I don't want to say the wrong thing. I know we have a supplier.
So one of
drop ship.
One of those options.
One of the ones.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yes.
Oh man.
Kind of a non-answer, I know.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So I think drop ship is great, and I love the concept behind it. Like I would happily take less of a cut so that I don't have to manage anything. Like it's all just turnkey. And I've done that with clients with since we were talking about swag stuff and e-commerce. Shopify has an integration with Printful, and they're great about that. It's so easy to get that set up, but the quality isn't exactly what I would like for it to be.
Oh no,
it's just a little gummy, and it like after you wash it a couple times, you're like, should I wear that? You know, I'm not sure. So I just don't want that to be the thing. And my uncle does printing, and he's a snob about it, which is like in the best way. So like I've hung out with him before, and he's like, what are you like, what kind of print is that? You know, or he's like, oh, they did.
Yeah.
Or he can go up to something and just be like, oh, they did this heat press and this and blah, blah, blah. So
I think that's a blessing and a curse, because you can't not recognize that stuff. Like my brother-in-law's father did that for 20 years. And then my sister and brother-in-law did it for a few years also. And like Ed, Paul's dad, is known for just going up to strangers, or not straight, but like people at a party and being like, what kind of shirt is that? Like checking labels and stuff. And it's like, no, that's a little weird for people that you don't know that well.
Yeah,
that's a little far.
If time wasn't a problem, I think it would be fun to do that just for a stint. You know, have you seen those machines that have like 50 arms? They have like 4 arms.
Yeah.
And squeegee, whatever. Yep.
Do you know what the word for forearm in Spanish is?
Cuatro.
Oh my god, I remember this.
Armo.
I remember this being weird. It's like high school knowledge. I forgot.
So it's antebrazo, which is like before arm. So instead of like,
that's so
and actually,
such a, I guess where you're saying
you said cuatro would be like the number 4, but in English it's FORE, like before and not the number 4.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Did I tell you I'm reading Throne of Glass in Spanish?
Yes. What's the word for arm? I didn't mean to.
Brazo. So that's why it's
brazo.
Antebrazo is before arm.
Okay. I guess we just shortened before to 4. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Very English.
It's kind of cool to see some of the things that are literally combining 2 words in English and how they choose either the same or slightly different 2 words that are literally combined in Spanish to create. Anyway, language nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Spanish just makes more sense when you dig into how words are composed and how pronunciation works. Yep. It's just like, it's more predictable. I get it.
Mark, I would agree with you. Yes.
Did I sound Italian?
Yes.
Antebrazo.
Yeah.
Well, it's the sing song. And the fact that it ends in an O, you know. Brazo.
Yeah. Like Spanish artists and musicians, they got it easy. They can do whatever they want, especially if they can like shift into English. They can just make anything work.
Well, speaking of language, what I think is interesting is if you have, say, British English, American English, and like New Zealand, Australian English.
Yeah.
When they sing, I feel like the accent evaporates.
It melts away.
Yes, which is super weird.
Where people are actually from, and I'm usually wrong.
Yes,
it's totally noticeable.
I've thought the same thing. Like Jess will tell me somebody's from England or Australia or whatever, and I'm like, based on them singing, no, it's like, so weird.
Yeah. The 2 key ones that come to mind are Adele and Keith Urban.
I forget that he's Australian.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Which, so now that we got country music, just feels very American to me. That's probably
a
biased opinion.
Ireland is like obsessed with country music, and they have like they go into American really southern accents when they do country music. Somebody
that's
in London told me about this and sent me YouTube videos about it. Very interesting.
Funny.
So now that we've got all those topics covered, y'all ready to start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Compressed FM, a podcast all about web development and design with a little bit of zest. In this episode, we are going to talk about making the web weird again with our guest, Ben Holmes. My name is James Q. Quick, and I am a full-time technical content creator.
Hello, my name is Amy Dutton, and I'm the director of design at Zeal.
I don't have the button ready for the intro music.
And I got my cue ready this week.
You did it, yes. So we'll add that in post.
Can I, while we're talking about a little backstage stuff, somebody told me my mic has been hot. Does that sound okay? Like they were saying it was almost distorted.
I can't feel it, so I don't.
I didn't notice it.
It sounds normal to me, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
If it does come through, you can actually like adjust your volume in here too.
Oh, perfect.
I can actually edit it for you if I needed to.
Oh. You can mute me?
Yes. Yeah, half the time you don't know, but I mute you when I don't like what you're saying.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. All right. So today we've got Ben Holmes on as our guest. Ben, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. Super excited to talk about Astro. Do you want to tell people, introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, totally. So hello, I am Ben. I am a core maintainer over at Astro. And on the side, I am a 2 online person that loves talking about tech on my whiteboard. So if you've ever seen a guy with a vertical whiteboard around, it might have been me.
Well, actually, I'm going to put this link in the chat. And then for people listening to the podcast version, wtw.dev.
That's the one.
And I didn't know, I hadn't seen this before, actually, which I'm flabbergasted that I hadn't come across it. But I am now subscribed and signed up. So I think it's, to clarify what it is it a video a week of you explaining something on the whiteboard?
Yeah, it used to be a video a day when I started it out because I was just trying to like get comfortable doing short form stuff. And I realized I have no time to refine anything. I'm barely scraping out iMovie edits. So let's like download Final Cut, get a little serious about editing, and do 2 a week. So for the past few months, however long it's been, it feels like it's flown by, but 2 a week, talking about any real concept on the web. It's definitely not Astro specific. I'm actually making a point of trying all of the frameworks out there on my Twitch stream to like understand them, see what topics we can learn from it, and then distill it down to like little 1-minute bites that are on wtw.dev and also YouTube, Twitter. There's a newsletter if you like slow mail. All of that is available however you want to watch it.
I just subscribed as well. And from a design perspective, I have to say, I really appreciate when you scroll, that little color block at the top changes colors to match the video.
Yeah.
Very nice touch.
I thought because like it's whiteboard themed, it's like, well, what color should a whiteboard be? Well, it's markers, so anything goes. So just choose a bunch of bright colors, do a little Astro to like generate all the variables, and then switch it on the back. So yeah,
very well done.
Thank you.
That does look super cool. I feel like you hear of somebody being a core maintainer of any project, to be honest, and I think like genius. Like I don't want to make you feel awkward, but like I feel like that's the perception of people. I know, and I like
same.
We should probably like we should probably get your perspective on you maybe saying I'm just an average. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I'm just an average developer, whatever. But I'm curious, like how did you get to be involved with Astro? Like how did you get started with that?
Yeah, totally. So it actually started through a Twitter DM. I was originally working on a project called, I mean, why not? But I was working on a project called Slinkity, which is an 11D plugin that helps you, some recognition in the chat. Shout out to all the Slinkity fans. There's always like one or two that are just like lurking around. They know. I promised Slinky merch that never came, but it's still on my mind. But yeah, it was like this plugin to let you use React, Vue, Svelte, whatever you wanted inside of 11D, because I really liked it as like a static site generator. And I thought, I don't like Liquid, but I like the approach. Is there a way I can bring these tools I'm using elsewhere into this? And then I started digging into the Vue plugin that already existed. And I found this unreleased API to like add custom extensions. So I said, okay, let me just grab that, try to support other frameworks. Eventually turned it into an NPM package. It was my first NPM package ever, and it still kind of is. I don't think I maintain anything else. But I mean, it definitely got some attention because I did like little whiteboarding update logs on Twitter to keep people engaged, tell people what's actually going on, and also stay a little accountable. Like I got to do something for the week to sort of bring the project a little bit more forward. And of course, Astro started coming up around the same time. I heard about it on Shop Talk and I was like, oh, that's too good to be true. And it wasn't. It actually was like, it's taking that concept to 11. Like you want to bring all these people who already know component frameworks, maybe Next.js people, and bring them to a more performant static site generator world. And I thought it did things maybe better than how I was doing it with Slinkity. It felt very tacked on. While Astro felt very focused on the use case. So Fred messaged on Twitter, like, I see you're working on Slinkity. Do you want to do something like that, but for money? And I thought, well, yeah, that does make sense. I mean, there was more like build up and discussion than that, but it eventually turned into a full-time role at what is technically called the Astro Technology Company. So it is technically like its own company built around open source, which is rare, but growing. And it's really cool.
Awesome.
That, you can actually get like paid to work on this kind of stuff, because otherwise it's just garage hacking to me. It's just a different project at this point with more stars. And I'm definitely like humility moment. I'm definitely the least experienced person on the core team. Some people there have been around since like the beginning and know what the first commit was. And I'm still catching up on like, how does TypeScript work with generics and all this other fancy stuff that you have to learn fast as a library maintainer. But we're getting there. And it's definitely been super rewarding because everyone's so friendly.
Such a great learning experience. I think that's one of the things that I miss in my career right now, is not having time around better developers. Not because I'm such a good developer, just because I'm not actually writing production code of any sense other than my demos and things, which are fun, and like the Discord bot for Learn Build Teach, which again is a ton of fun. but I missed that opportunity of just being around developers that have more experience and just soaking everything in and getting better myself just from being there.
Yeah, totally agree. It's it definitely doesn't end because I feel like everyone's as excited as the next person. So we're all just like growing together. And yeah, also like Nate working on a Go compiler, having to like learn what Go even is, has been interesting because it is a little siloed right now, but there is an Astro compiler people can contribute to. So if there is that one Go fan in the audience, go check it out.
Nicely done.
Yes, intentional.
I was going to ask you, because you were talking about Astro technology wrapping this open source. Is that all funded through sponsorships? How does that work?
Yeah, so some of it was like a formal seed round raised through investors, but there is also an open collective that people can contribute to. And that's
Very
kind
cool.
of like, I guess, a nonprofit side where any money that comes in through that open source collective, and some of those are sponsors like Netlify and Vercel, that money goes straight back to the contributors. So every quarter, we actually have a little election. People say, like, here are the highlights of people in the community that have been crushing it. And it doesn't even have to be programmers. It can be just like this person ramped out our Japanese translations on the docs and they're a superstar. So we need to like give back to them.
That's
so
awesome.
we just take that pot and we give it out to the community, and also
so cool.
donate to other open source like sustaining Vite, sustaining Rollup, other projects that are sort of down the chain that honestly don't get as much love as they deserve, because stuff like Rollup powers literally everything. It's just so low level. You never even interact with it day to day. You just know it exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, we try to do that.
We had Max Howell on. James, I think you missed that episode, but he was talking about a use case with Web3 and packages to be able to track all these dependencies that people forget about. That, as you said, Vite and Rollup are powering a huge chunk of the internet and nobody even knows because it's kind of under the hood of what you're working on.
Yeah, I know, like the maintainer of curl, like sort of coming out like curl is literally what everyone uses. But it's hard to get that recognition and bring in more contributors and funding to actually maintain it full time, because that's probably one of the most important libraries I can think of on my computer. It's how I call anything. So yeah, shout out to anyone who's like working lower level.
But I think that's part of that is a testament to the team at Astro, because it like that recognition comes from building community in a good way. And Astro is one of those things I feel like that looked like an overnight success. Like all of a sudden people were talking about Astro and I redid my site and then I started paying attention. Other people, like tons of people were rebuilding their site with Astro and people were just loving it. And so I think that's like continuously talking about what you're doing in a good way, continuing to share about what you're doing, but also like your videos earlier, I wanted to call out and appreciate this. Like you were like, this is not all Astro focused. Like I want to do my due diligence and try all these different frameworks. And like, I think I've got something in my teeth from my smoothie. And like having awareness of what the framework ecosystem looks like, so that like you're that much more in tune with the community and able to bring back learnings and other things from other platforms. Anyway, I think like all the community stuff, all of the things that I see, hear, read has all been super awesome about Astro as a whole.
Yeah, seriously. And it's part of why I ended up joining too, is like, this was back in June or July that I heard about it. And at the time, Discord was actually this secret console log. If you opened the Astro promo page, like you had to know that there was a community, but I joined it immediately. There was like, there's already support for him. People are already helping. And then it just kind of blossomed to just be bigger and bigger, but more and more people got involved along the way. It didn't, because I feel like with at scale, sometimes projects get a little opinionated, a little hard to contribute, and maybe people sort of don't help as well as they could. But I think we've, first off, having docs as its own repo and having docs managed by a separate group of people has really let that take off for anyone who's sort of afraid to contribute to core code. They want to contribute to core docs instead. That made people a little more comfortable, like join the community and giving back to it, which is kind of a two-step thing, where if you feel like you're invested in it, then you're going to be a better actor on the Discord anyways. So we end up with like the support squad role, the docs role, maintainers that we have elected. all of that sort of trickles down into people feeling like they're welcome. So it kind of led to, I would say, the best tech Discord that I've been a part of.
Wow.
It was true when I
That's
joined
awesome.
it. It's kind of still true, where you can just pal around with people in there like any casual Discord and also ask questions. So that's really awesome.
Amazing. We haven't quite done this, and we're a few minutes in, so maybe we should. I want to get to the point of like part of the notes that you sent us was just like 1.0 of Astro, some things that have changed, maybe talk about like some future things or like where we're going type thing. But for people who just maybe haven't heard of it before, like what's the kind of quick intro overview to what Astro is?
Yeah. I mean, Astro is a way to build performant websites focused on marketing and blogs. So if you are building content focused experiences, you like Markdown and MDX, you want to bring whatever framework you have React background, Vue, Svelte, whatever it is. Astro is the easiest way to build and host a site like that, both with static generation and with serverless, if you've been hearing about that. Also edge compute, if you want to build performant things there. But mainly, if you're a content person and you want to deploy something really easily with some nice docs to guide you, I think Astro is probably the best framework out there right now for that sort of thing.
And I'll add on like my favorite kind of small nuggets. Astro, like you said, it's the best option for that stuff. It like definitively has been that for me as well for a few different things. The like add command. So if you want to add Tailwind, having a command to add that and other things like those add commands, it's a small thing, but it's like really, really nice. Also automatic support for Markdown. Like you just throw a Markdown file in there, and not only can you parse that and display it as content, you can also just like, instead of having an HTML page or instead of a Svelte component, or not Svelte, well, you can have Svelte too, but Astro component, you can just have a Markdown file, and now that's your page, like with page-based routing. And I was live on stream a few weeks ago, and as I had migrated my previous site to Astro, I didn't migrate my courses pages, and I was doing that in the middle of it. I was like, it'd be really nice if I had MDX. And so like in 15 minutes, added MDX, converted stuff to MDX, and had it all ready to go. So the support for just those basic things that is so common, like those scenarios that are so common, really nailing those experiences is the stuff that like stood out to me that I get so excited about.
Yeah, totally. And it's nice to work on something where you know the scope, you know your audience. It's not like, oh, our audience is anyone that uses React or anyone that uses Vue. The audience is, it's not about, you can bring any tool that you want, but it's about the use case you're trying to do. Like, you know, you're going to use content. We know a lot of people like managing content with Markdown. We also know people like external CMSs. So we have like a CMS guides page for everyone, including like WordPress and Contentful. So we're trying to put all of our focus really into that kind of use case so that when you come to it, you know what the framework's designed to do. And we address it pretty well, in my opinion. I've been managing the MDX side of things through the 1.0 launch. That was kind of like the part that I really wanted to feel nice, because before this, we didn't have MDX support. We had like an Astro flavored Markdown that let you import components into Markdown, but it was kind of stitched on. So we moved to MDX thanks to like Nate Moore realizing like how easy it could be while still letting you use React, Vue, Svelte, whatever. And through that, we were like, you got to have Shiki built in to highlight code blocks because people like that. You got to have front matter support so you can add layouts really easily without writing code. Like if you use MDX in the raw, you know there's some like special flavors that are missing when you leave Astro. And it's nice that we made sure all of that story was there. So if you want to like switch MD to MDX, you're done. You can keep your front matter, keep everything that you have going.
James, did you add any additional tooling like from Svelte or React or Vue when you worked on your site?
I actually, and we should like maybe just emphasize this a second, because we kind of said it, but maybe not specifically nailed it down. Of you can use all these other frameworks inside of Astro, React, Angular too, Vue, Svelte.
There is a plugin, yeah.
Okay.
Well, and let's also say they can live next to each other, which is crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Have a Vue component and a React component next to each other in the app. Okay.
And I remember Cassie Williams actually did a presentation in our Discord about this.
Yeah. It was early
several months ago. This was like way early to the point where I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, but I wasn't interested at the time. until I was looking to migrate from Gatsby to Next.js, and just going through the process of setting up Markdown and code highlighting and a few other things. And then I heard people talking about Astro, and I gave it a shot. I was like, everything just works. Like, it was incredible. Going back to the question, Amy, that you asked. So am I using any specific React, Vue, Svelte components inside of Astro? Right now, I'm not. So I'm just using like your basic Astro components, which, I mean, it's such a nice, it just works how you expect it to work. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff to figure out. So like, immediately writing an Astro component was 100% natural, and defining my types for what like props would be and having that in TypeScript and stuff was really, really nice. So right now I don't think I have any specific components that are using an outside framework other than just the built-in Astro stuff.
Nice. And yeah, for those who don't know, Astro also has like its own templating language. So if you don't want to bring any components with you and you just want to author things in a JSX-like way, with some niceties like class instead of class name, set HTML instead of dangerously set inner HTML __. If you just want a template that's like JSX with some of the weird stuff removed, that's what Astro is, and it'll run 100% on the server. So we don't help you with client-side stuff. That's where you bring in React. But if you don't need that, you can just spin up a little Astro component, write some markup, and import it into your Markdown, into Pages, into wherever you want. So it's a nice baseline if you just want to like build a site to get started.
Here's a great question in the chat. Jesper was just congratulating you guys on success. Seems like Astro is a great match for almost anything. The question is, in your experience, when not to select Astro for a project? And so personally, he's looking for SPA support.
And there's the question. All right. We're waiting for the SPA person. And my answer would be like, from marketing to blog to e-commerce, Astro does pretty well. E-commerce is kind of a expanding journey where you have all the primitives to build a great e-commerce site, and we just need to add more helpers to make it more streamlined, which is something that I'm really excited about. But anything beyond that level of interactivity, if you're getting into dashboards and Facebook levels of page refreshes and such, Astro's probably not a good choice. I'd personally like switch over to SvelteKit or something, where Svelte is actually kind of similar to Astro syntax. I like it a lot. But for anything else, I think Astro is probably going to be your best bet. And to the SPA comment, we have had sort of a lot of questions on, okay, I don't need React Router, but I do want to avoid a page refresh when I go from this to this so that it feels a little bit snappier. And that's something that has definitely been on the core's mind, roadmap. Where should it fit in? Is this a major release, or when should it happen? I will say generally, we've heard the comments. We have actually proposed a couple RFCs that we've been mulling over, and it will come, I think, with just managing the page refresh story to make things feel snappy. But whenever it does emerge, whatever it looks like, whenever it is, it's definitely going to be built with like performance and minimal JavaScript in mind. You won't ship a 100 kilobyte bundle to have page refreshes. It should be like a minimal addition.
That's great to know that that's something that's already being, I'm sure people have talked about it, asked about it. It's great to see that it's already being considered. And I thought at some point, I have to go back and look at what the exact scenario was. I thought there was some sort of plugin that would do something similar, like to keep the layout of a page and then just swap out the main content like you would with other routers. But I'm not sure exactly what that was.
Yeah, so the only RFC I know of was one from Matthew for persistent islands, which basically means do a refresh for everything around an island, but keep the island in place. So if you have a counter and that count is 5, when I change routes, I want that count to still be 5. I don't want it to refresh, reload, react, and remount the island. And that was a cool idea. I don't know if it's something we would actually move forward on because there are other ways to treat routing fundamentally different. But it was a cool idea of like, you're really just worried about the page refresh and snappiness. You're not thinking about data loading and all of that stuff because Astro already helps you. So it should be minimal, whatever it is.
Someone mentioned the transitions API. Is that similar?
I'm curious what that is, because I know that Nate put out like a sort of interesting idea for how like nested routing and page refreshes could work, because he's also created a library called micromorph that like diffs 2 pages and changes the part that need to be changed. So it's a really cool library if you just want to like stitch it together yourself in an Astro project. I've done that just for a nerd moment. It's pretty fun. But that's definitely not in core. I know that PR was kind of closed to look into the problem, treat it a little bit differently. So we'll see where we end up. I don't want to promise anything on this stream. Just know that it's on our minds and it's something we're really curious about.
Fair enough. Thinking about 1.0, when was the 1.0 launch? And what were some of the things that changed or got finalized at 1.0 that maybe were different from a few months before that?
Oh, yeah. We did have an extended beta period where we were trying a lot of things out. The MDX support was a big one that came in for the 1.0 release. And MDX is still technically like pre 1.0, although it's something that a lot of people use because there's a lot of use cases. Another one was the experimental image plugin. So if you want a nice image component that can preload your images, crop them to nice sizes, make sure it loads like a WebP or an AVIF, like doing all those transformations for you. That's another thing that snuck in for 1.0. So if you're looking for like a next image or Gatsby image substitute, we have one. But otherwise, things stayed pretty much the same around like, here's how Astro components work, introducing Astro add to make it easier to just add an integration from the CLI. You don't even have to edit your config file. I never edit my configs anymore because I just like type Astro add React and it just does it for you and installs dependencies. But yeah, everything else, like the routing story also stayed the same through all of the kind of layout turbulence that has been happening in other frameworks. It's interesting because those address more of like an app-like use case. But I'm really happy that we stuck with a lot of the core APIs that people were excited about, like when Cassidy was trying it or you were trying it earlier, because it just kind of works. It keeps things simple, which is definitely a strength.
Absolutely. It was, I mean, that was the story for me over and over again. It's like, holy shit, it just worked. I didn't do anything. Like, to be able to repeat that so many times in one experience was pretty amazing and definitely got me very excited about it.
Nice. Good stuff. Oh, there's some transition talk in the chat. Interesting.
Yeah, there was, I found an article.
Ben Myers worked on this. Why?
So there was on, actually, I assume this is his, I don't actually know. What is the SumAntics.dev? Is that from Ben?
Yeah, that's Ben Myers' like online persona, Twitch series, etc. Accessibility expert. So SumAntics, semantics. It's a pun. It's a good one.
Got it.
But yeah, I should have realized page transitions is like a browser thing. That's not anything special. It's actually like a Chrome API you can play with if you want to. It's something you got to wire up yourself, but it's a way to like intercept a link click, say navigate to. If you've ever played with the history API, you know how weird it is. This is like history API version 2. It's a nicer way to do it. And it's still experimental, but if we could build something just on the back of that, that would be amazing. Or just let users do it on their own if they know they're willing to support it.
I was just going to say, I love how much, how many things are like just leaning on the browser API. I feel like so many tools that we've had like in recent history has been like, well, I'm going to tack this on because I don't get it in the browser. Or I'm going to get this to happen, but we've got to compile it down. And I feel like a lot of these tools are swinging back to the basics. And I don't know if like the browser came up like underneath all that stuff that was happening and incorporated it, or people were just like, we're going to go back to this purest idea of using what the browser gives us because it really is core to the browser and the whole experience and far more performant.
Yeah. I mean, the browser's just, of course, like anyone working on standards is seeing what these frameworks are trying to do. So they'll try to meet them in the middle the best they can. And like client-side navigation is a big one there, where it's just like, yeah, we can do better than this if that's the use case that most people are after. Yeah. And I'm happy it's getting attention. Of course, you know, it takes time to like cascade to all of the browsers, and then you got to make sure mobile Safari works. So give it a year. But the APIs look great. They look awesome.
Oh man. Just as long as we don't have to support IE6.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, these days are long over, I hope. But yeah, there was also like a interesting tweet about Apple considering non-WebKit stuff on iPhones, and that would answer all of my
interesting.
prayers if that happens.
All of them. Wow.
I mean, okay, maybe not all of them. One big prayer will be answered by that.
So funny.
Curious. I always have this question because I don't know as much about how this stuff works. So, like thinking about funding for Astro and support from the community, having gone through a funding round, is there like a monetary part to Astro coming? Is there like a cloud dashboard or a deployment or consulting, or like what's like the make money strategy with Astro?
Yep. And it is still developing.
Yep.
So right now it is
There's a swag store coming, James.
There's a swag store coming. That will save us.
I forgot about
buy
the
those
swag
beanies.
store.
You buy 1 million beanies, and we're done. But yeah, I mean, we are running off of a funding round right now. I know that we're very focused on just keeping users happy and growing the user base to address everyone's needs, make sure, everyone knows if you're coming from even more low code tools like WordPress. Like if you are trying to build a performance site, Astro is probably going to be your match for content stuff. So I know that's definitely the focus, is building that user base. And outside of that is just building something that makes sense. It shouldn't be something that kind of feels antagonistic. It's definitely tough with open source, where developers are especially sensitive to being sold to. They know that they're being marketed to. So you have to actually bring something that brings value and don't lock things behind a paywall or some other problem that used to be freely available in open source. So one thing I can promise is like Astro Core as it exists, or just Astro Core in general, will always be like this open source free thing for people to contribute to and develop on. And it's just a matter of like building services around it that actually like take those needs further and meet you where you are building content stuff. So I'll keep it vague there, but that is definitely the focus that we want to have.
Totally fair. I accept vague. I know Astro is like, we think about it as like for static content and for marketing sites and blogs and that sort of stuff. And one of the things that I started to look into, and I did it for a second and then just didn't continue with it, is like you can actually define server API endpoints with Astro, right? So in theory, can you just build a complete full stack application with Astro in that sense?
You totally can. And it's really cool with the SSR feature, where once you flip it on, every page is an endpoint, is really how you can think about it. We have people, we actually have a surprisingly growing audience of people using the Node adapter and just building a standalone Node server that hosts every page basically as its own endpoint, and just deploying it to AWS, wherever you want to dump it.
Okay.
But you can also deploy to Netlify serverless, Vercel serverless, flip it on to Edge Compute if you want. But like anytime you create like a index.astro or something, you can turn that into an SSR route, do whatever server logic you want at the top of the page. So you can like, did a form request come through? Was it a post request? You can read the JSON from that and then change the HTML response based on whatever the user sent in. So it's kind of like building those like servers in the 90s, working with PHP, where you just do some backend logic, return a template. That's literally all we're doing, but with, all of the modern syntax that you're used to using, like React, JSX, all of that stuff. So the answer is totally yes. You can create both like JavaScript endpoints and also just use Astro files as endpoints, where you can like return JSON if it's HTML request, or return like an actual Astro template if you want to return that instead. It's as simple as an early return in your front matter to just like return something else other than HTML. So it's super flexible to anyone who's sort of unlocked that. I don't think we talk about it enough, honestly, because people still think, oh, that's the static site generator. And it's like, honestly, no. If you flip it off, it's just like an Express server now, but easier to make HTML.
Super cool. I think, and someone's commenting in the chat that Astro SSR is underrated. And I think that's true to your point. Like the awareness is probably something that could be improved if people just understanding this can do a lot more than just what you think of as like static sites and static pages. And that's something that I'm looking forward to experimenting with on my personal website as I maybe add some new features and stuff. Amy, I was going to leave the comment up to add that someone mentioned they'd love to see Astro being able to have both static routes and dynamic routes. And that was actually a question that I had because I think once you enable SSR mode, you're out, like everything is SSR to your point. And like what for something that's not taking advantage. So like if I have a page that's just marked down for a blog post and I convert that to now SSR mode, does anything change with that specific page? Like it's still just grabbing markdown stuff and returning it?
It would as like a server endpoint, but I was waiting because I've got a great answer. We just merged an experimental feature to do this today, like an hour ago.
Oh,
so there's now a
look at
pre-render
that
flag.
announcement.
So if you want to like enable SSR mode and you want to flip back to a static page, you put export pre-render equals true at the top of the page.
Cool.
And then it will pre-render that to HTML as if it's a static build. Of course, SvelteKit is, I think, that exact same API.
Mm-hmm.
Going through a bunch of naming conventions, we decided, yeah, that just makes sense. Let's do that. So now you can pre-render stuff if you want to have a hybrid approach, which I think a lot of people do. Like right now, my whiteboard the website is a Vercel endpoint because I wanted to do short links really easily. Like you can go to whiteboardtheweb /42/TW and it'll take you to the tweet. And I thought that was just a lot of fun, but it's all like servers with caches. It'll be so great to delete all of my cache headers and just do pre-render true and I would be done. So it's kind of like on-demand building where, you build it and it's pre-rendered. So there you go if you're looking for that. Christmas is early.
I know. I'm so glad that we got like, I don't know if this is an exclusive take, but like something that fresh to come onto the
really
podcast.
Fresh. I'm actually trying to merge my own massive PRs and experimental release right after this podcast. So Today is actually experimental day. We're trying to get stuff in for a minor release. So get excited.
Yes.
There will be like tweets and stuff going out. But yeah, I can also talk about a crazy experimental thing I've been working on for 2 months now around the Markdown and MDX story, which is
do it.
Yeah. So I just did a stream with Fuzzy, who's in the audience yesterday, showing off how cool it is. But it is a way to standardize how you import all your Markdown and also how you define your front matter. So today, when you create like a blog post, every blog post has a similar shape of like title, publish date, description, etc. And you can't guarantee, first off, that you filled out all those fields. Like you might write a new blog post, forget a front matter property, and you get a wacky error during build time that's like can't read property of undefined because you didn't check the front matter was right before you started building. So you just get a weird problem. And a lot of people run into this where they like define their TypeScript type. They cast whatever result comes from Astro Glob or whatever they're trying to use to build a landing page. And it feels very loose. It's like, we don't help you in the same way that we help you with like Astro Ad. So new feature called Content Collections lets you make folders of like Markdown and MDX documents, and you can define the shape of whatever's in that folder. So you can make like content/blog, and then you can say, all my blog posts have a title, description, and publish date. And I need you to check that at runtime. And that's actually using Zod. If there are any Zod fans in the chat, you use that. And then you just get some magic types generated for you. We have a little type generator now. And when you make the call, it'll autocomplete to victory of like get collection, blog, .slug, .data, .title. And it's all just there. So,
have you looked at content layer at all? Are you familiar with that library?
Yes. Absolutely.
So that was one of the things that I loved about that particular library is when you build your site on runtime, it tells you if there's any pages or markdown files that are missing front matter. And that was huge for me because I had broke so many Gatsby builds because it was missing a piece of front matter that was hidden that I couldn't find. So that's awesome that you guys have a tool that will catch that for you.
Yeah. James is excited too. I love that.
I remember, so someone tweeted, either I saw an article or I saw a tweet about this in the last couple of days, and I didn't give it my full attention, but I remember with part of my attention being like, oh shit, that's cool. I'm excited about this. That's awesome. So this is a PR that an experimental PR that you're submitting today. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so it
Okay.
was an RFC proposal for a long time. It was accepted on our RFC community call, which you should all join, astro.build/chat. We do it every Tuesday, where we actually like talk about the proposals that are out there and give it the floor to like talk it through, modify the PR based on people's feedback, and then go from there. So that was accepted, and now it's been implemented. It's behind an experimental content collections flag, and it will go out in a minor release. So you can try that out before it's baselined, I guess I could say. But yeah, it's going out. And to compare with Content Layer a little bit, it is a little bit more hands-off, where instead of configuring like, here's the glob path to all of the markdown files, it's just inferred based on the folder name. So if you have source/content/blog, you can just fetch all the blog posts and it'll autocomplete everything. And we also use Zod, which is a fun decision, I think, that lets you like parse a date string to a date object or set a default value so you don't have to do null checks all over the place. You can just have like default description or default language if you're international, and then just go from there. So a lot of strengths to using that, I think. And we have really nice documentation too. We went through 100 review commits, but we're here and it reads great. So that'll be going out too. I'm really excited about that.
Can I throw out another feature request relevant to that? And I think based on what you're saying, this would be even easier to do, is a command that you can run to say create new blog post, and it'll create a new markdown file, stub out the front matter. Yeah. Is that something that people have talked about?
Oh, of course. It's something we played with a little bit.
So I'm not special at all. I'm like, I've got this brilliant idea.
It's so good though.
It's
so nice to hear it, because we've also had some ideas around like, what if you could reference one document from another and say like, this is an author and his name is James Quick. And then that pulls in all the information about James Quick for you to use.
So it's like a relational database.
Almost. We use database as kind of an analogy here, or content models in a CMS. It's kind of similar to that. But of course, this PR had like 100 changed files, and we said, let's scope it down. We're not going to do everything, but I think CLI is going to be like step one, because of course we have Astro Add. It feels natural to have helpful commands to like make a new collection, walk you through adding properties, and creating a blog post. We already know the shape. So yes, I'll take the nod as do it. We have some time before the holidays to play with stuff. So that might be the one little treasure trove to go after.
I was going to say, you can do a lot of that stuff with plop, James. You have to configure it. It's not smart enough to figure out what your front matter is.
I've heard of plop.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good.
So I was going to reference that exact thing, Amy, from Brad. So Brad Garapi, if people don't follow him, go follow him and check out his content on plop, which I think is where you got it from.
I got hooked on. Yes.
So I'm gonna
share the episode that he was on where he's talking about it.
He's actually got scripts that do exactly that to generate templates. Yeah, go ahead.
I keep talking over. You're both excited.
I know.
Brad's episode where he talks about this is actually our most popular episode that we've had yet.
Is it really?
Yes. I'm just going to share this out as James. So it'll look like James said it, but I said it.
Never mind. Let's change the stream title. Front matter. That's what you're here for.
Oh man.
So, question about front matter: has anyone, chat included, ever used the front matter extension in VS Code?
Oh,
nothing more than a syntax highlighter. So no.
Okay. So I don't exactly know what it does, to be honest, but I think it is an extension of VS Code that does something similar to what we're talking about, although I'm not 100% sure. And I installed it like a month ago with the intention of like, I should use this and see how it works. And I haven't yet. So if anybody out there has used it and knows exactly what it does, send me a message and enlighten me. Otherwise, maybe I'll get to it eventually.
Is it if you go to the repo on GitHub, it says front matter is CMS running straight in VS Code?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So that looks amazing.
That sounds right. Because we've definitely heard that, like, okay, step one, you can throw an error that tells you exactly what to correct. Step two, show it in the editor. of like, you
Yeah.
should just tell me your title's missing.
Yep.
And we have some amazing language tools for Astro files. Shout out to Erica. That's been kind of growing forever. And it would be cool to expand that to any kind of content you're authoring with Astro. Like if we know you're in the content folder, we know you're using Astro, let's just infer what the front matter is supposed to be and help you autocorrect it. And I think this might have been the plugin because someone brought it up. Is like, we could totally do that with linting. And it seems like a lot. I'm intimidated by VS Code extensions, but like if it's easy to do or if it's even possible, I would love to go after it because that seems like the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you saying you're intimidated by extensions in general or like creating an extension? Okay. Yeah.
For sure. I made my own VS Code theme and it was so much, mostly around like making the Microsoft account and getting it up there. I have like an Obsidian note of like 10 steps to take to make sure you do it right. And I'm glad I wrote it down because I know I'm going to reference that at some point.
I may need to borrow that. So I actually have a few extensions that are out there, and the documentation was never as helpful as I thought it would be for creating an extension. Like, especially beyond like a theme one. But fun fact, I will have a VS Code theme soon. That's actually what Amy and I are going to meeting about design in general. But after this podcast.
Oh, that's cool. I should shout out, we have an Astro theme too. It's called Houston. Somehow Houston was not taken as an extension name. And Houston's our little mascot. He's like the little guy that talks to you when you run Create Astro. And it has a little Houston embed that gets more and more sad as you make syntax errors.
That's so awesome.
Good. So he gets really upset if you have spell check on. We learned that over on the stream. But it's just by file. So he just wants you to be right. Okay, he wants you to be correct. You can collapse him if he's making you a little sad. But I love it so much.
My spelling goes crazy when I use the lorem ipsum. It's like, this is not a language.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. It was like,
and I love the branding. That's awesome that you guys have a mascot named Houston.
Yeah.
Have you watched For All Mankind?
No, I haven't.
It's a slight diversion from tech, but that is a fantastic show on Apple TV. Yeah. All about if the Russians made it to the moon before the Americans and if we continue to explore
I've heard about
space travel. Yeah, it's very good.
Yes.
So,
okay.
But yeah, fantastic branding.
Nice. Oh yeah, that was just born out of Nate again. We keep shouting him out because he's a weekend hacker. Like anytime weekend Nate emerges, something's good. And one of them was just like, let's have a little robot that talks to you with Create Astro. And then we got a new designer, Mark, who made a full sticker pack of like all the emotions. There's like Houston party, Houston crying, Houston happy, Houston upside down. There's so many. And he made like custom Houstons for all of us. He made one with a little like marker and a whiteboard and glasses. He made like a princess one for Erica. It's so good.
That's awesome. So
we're taking it far. We're taking it to the stars to do space puns.
Do you know how to get Houston to show up? So I installed the extension and I have it set as my theme right now. Yeah. Where should I see?
It's in those like collapsing windows under the file tree. There's a Houston tab, and you can just click on that. Hope I'm remembering that right. Is he not there?
See it yet?
Okay, if you go to an Astro file, maybe.
Oh, does it have to be inside of an Astro file?
I don't know. I thought it was like any file, or at least an Astro project. I'm going to install this now. Let me make sure. I actually don't have it on my work computer because I have my own theme called Slinkwave from back in the day. But nice. let me see here.
While you're doing that, we can get ready for our picks and plugs section, where we pick something that we enjoyed recently, and then we plug something that we want to share, a community that we're in, something we built, etc. Amy.
Yes.
Do you have picks and plugs that you would like to share?
I do have one, but my pick and plug was not one that I was going to pick. I had a great one yesterday and I thought I should write this down. I forgot. Oh, funny. So I'm making this pick because James said you should make this a pick. So shout out to you, James. But I have an app on my computer called Yoink, Yoink. It's a Mac app. And the fantastic thing is it serves like a little drawer, a little shelf when I'm clicking and dragging files. So if you've ever had a situation where you're in Finder or you have files on the desktop, you're like, okay, I need to move this into another directory. Let me go find that thing and then stick it in there. Or you're trying to move between different files and you're trying to manage like mouse, when do I drag? Anyways, with Yoink, what you can do is you can drag files into the drawer, go find what you're looking for, and then drag it over from that shelf. So it serves as a nice little holding place when you're trying to move stuff around. It's very helpful.
Ooh,
and for my plug, I'm going to plug this because it is still the month of December, but last year, James and I did 24 JavaScript and CSS challenges in the advent of CSS and the advent of JS.com. And we repackaged those this year. So even though it is the 16th of December, they are still available. It's evergreen content. The challenges themselves are not Christmas themed. So you really could have Christmas all year if you wanted to. But it was a fun project to work on. And so I'd encourage you to check it out. Again, the challenges are free. So even if you don't want to pay for the solutions, you can still get something out of it.
Love it. By the way, Ben, I had to restart VS Code, which someone gave me the reminder
really?
of that. So I restarted VS Code, and then I did find where it was, and I found Houston. And Houston is very happy in one of my projects. So that's a good thing.
You have nothing open.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I did check it in a window where I did have something open, but as I was talking, the window I did have open does not have a project open. So yes, very happy.
Yeah. Fun fact, it was actually a web component that was made by one of our docs people, Chris. And I think you can just like put Houston on any web page if you install that web component, and he'll just float around.
Will he be happy though?
You'll be happy if you don't pass any emotions.
Houston is the new Clippy.
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be huge.
That's the goal.
Cool. I can go next on picks and plugs. So I'm gonna pick a platform called Superbase.
Astro?
Not Astro. Although it would make
One
for
brand.
a great comparison with Astro.
Remix. Wait.
No, not Remix. No, I wouldn't do that. But so Superbase, I've actually been using it a ton the last couple of weeks. So I've been working a lot on the Learn Build Teach Discord bot and the Learn Build Teach website. And I was using Planet Scale, which is a company that I used to work at, and Prisma, which is a great combination. But I really wanted to build an admin dashboard inside of our front end. And like once you get into SvelteKit, now they just launched SvelteKit Auth or Svelte Auth. So that's something I want to check out. But like Superbase has database, it's got authentication, it's got storage, all these things. And so I've migrated both the Discord bot, Node.js, TypeScript backend, and the SvelteKit application to use Superbase for everything. And last night, in like 30 minutes, I updated it to where when people share content, I was loading their like huge images where we display the content on our site, just because I was using the URL from their OG image directly. But now I've uploaded that image to Superbase, and they just launched a feature where you can do image optimization around it. So transformation similar to something like Cloudinary. And so I'm going to try to optimize the images on when we display that content on our site, learnbuildteach.com. So anyway, it's been a ton of fun to work with. The Superbase SDK is really nice, and they just went through. Today's the last day of their launch week 6, I think. So it's been fun to see some of their progression and updates and stuff. So anyways, Superbase is super cool. And then on the same lines, I will plug the Learn Build Teach Discord community. That's one of my big goals, is just to continue to engage there, help people there, and support learners, developers, creators, etc., which is where a lot of the like work on the site and the bot comes from. So learnbuildteach.com.
They both had 2 really big launch weeks this week. So this week is like Christmas for everybody.
I know. There's gifts everywhere.
That's cool. All right. I've been scrambling thinking about picks.
No,
Do
we
we
forgot
a whiteboard. A whiteboard.
Yeah.
Of course we can. Oh yeah. If you go to bhomes.dev/whiteboard, you'll see my whiteboard. If anyone wants, I need to get kickback on that. I didn't know you could, but that would be a fun little like promo to do if anyone gets it. Huge whiteboard person. But what would my pick be?
Oh, it redirects to your whiteboard.
Oh,
It does redirect to the Amazon page if that's
Nice.
Yeah,
what you're
you
looking
definitely
for.
Yeah,
need a
yeah.
kickback on that. And it's on
yeah.
wheels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super good to have wheel. I still pick it up because I'm worried about like scratching my floors and stuff. But it's very movable. And it's two-sided, so you can like flip it. So I actually I can show this off. But I put a green screen on the back of it.
Oh,
So
nice.
if I want to like do that kind of content, like for my stream promos and stuff, I put like just a screenshot of whatever I'm trying to demo because I'm too lazy to draw something, and it just kind of works.
Now, one thing you might be able to try, because these are caster wheels, is my office chair had caster wheels and I swapped them out for rollerblades. And they're supposed to be nicer on your floor. So I bet you could put rollerblades on the bottom.
Yeah, because the problem is like they're also kind of plasticky. So like the wheels don't rotate all the way. So one of them's scraping while the other ones are rolling. I'm like, that's
now, the only thing you might have is my rollerblades are a lot more, we can slide around the room. If you're trying to write, that might cause a problem.
Yeah,
Like
it needs a stopper because I usually just keep the stop on and pick it up because it's really lightweight. But okay, if there's rollerblades with the stopper, I'll do it. But yeah, my pick wasn't even going to be my whiteboard. I was going to say the Arc browser that I've been using because it's so good. It's kind of a predictable pick, but I'm here to say like it's worth the hype. Try it out. Find someone with like an invite code or something, because the one thing about the web is it's such a vertical thing. Like I care a lot more about scrolling than I do about like horizontal room. And they like got rid of the nav bar on the top. So when you're on your laptop, you can actually see everything. Like I'm on my MacBook Air and it's like all of its bookmarks in like chubby Chrome tabs. I'm like, I just want that gone. I just want it removed. And that's what it lets you do. And everything else is well designed. It's I think it's made by a fancy browser company in Manhattan. So pretentiousness aside, it's a great browser. You should try it.
I had a session scheduled with Michael Chantastic, for him to kind of walk me through what Arc is and kind of onboard me, because I'm new. I have it downloaded, but I haven't actually used it. And then that fell through because I think I was traveling at the time. So I need to get back and actually do a hands-on tutorial with Arc at some point to get acclimated to it, because I've heard nothing but really, really good things.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really need a tutorial. You just kind of play with it. And it's like, oh, everything's kind of where I expected. Like Command T tab, Command L to see the URL, because it does hide the full URL. Some people like that, some people don't. Whatever. I like it because I just want to like collapse the sidebar and just have like a full window of the web. It feels like everything's an app when you do that. And it just feels nice. But yeah. Oh, picks or what? Plugs.
Plug. Yeah.
That was the other P word. I will say shout out to X Element because Fuzzy said it in the chat. It's a way to build web components in Astro really easily. So if you want to use something that's like a really lightweight alternative that works with Astro, it's great. You can try it. I think it's like Astro-X Element. But personal plug, wtw.dev. That's where all my whiteboard videos are. You can subscribe to YouTube, Twitter, anywhere that you want to get them in your inbox. And I do 1 to 2 videos a week, depending on if it's a holiday week. So check it out. We have a lot of fun with that.
Sweet. Awesome. I disappeared. I hit some sort of shortcut that killed my camera. It wasn't on purpose. Awesome. This has been so fun. I feel like I haven't like widely smiled this much with like announcements and features and stuff. This has been a ton of fun. I'm glad we did it. I'm really excited also to see like just what Astro looks like in the next 6 months, year, etc. Right? Especially with you kind of already teasing some stuff, at least that's being acknowledged, not that it's committed to in any time frame, but to know that those things that people are talking about are being considered and looked at and trying to figure out how to get them in the right shape for people to take advantage of and love is extremely exciting. So thank you for joining us. I had a ton of fun today.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm glad everyone's as excited about Astro as I am. And it's usually true. It's awesome. So, I mean, thanks for having me. This was great.
Love it. All right. That is going to wrap it up for this episode. If you're listening in a podcatcher and you enjoyed it, please leave us a rating and review to help other people find the podcast too, so we can continue to have amazing conversations like we did today. In the meantime, that's all we got. All right. That's the official end of the podcast. And then let me see if anybody...
I'm
is
gonna have to find
online.
a friend that has ARC. So James, if you
You're gonna what
get
now?
any invites, if you get any invites for ARC,
Oh,
or
I
if
have some
anybody in
invite
the
codes,
chat. Oh, you do.
but I can't give it to everyone in chat. I only have 4
Oh no, no.
left.
I didn't mean-
Everybody.
I was gonna say if anybody in chat wants to be my new best friend.
I'll send
I
them.
have an invite actually.
Oh,
Oh,
we
everybody.
can all spread them around.
Yeah.
I know everyone gets 5
Oh,
invites when
Mark
they
has
get an
them.
invite.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
you'll come across.
Okay,
If you
perfect.
remind me, I'll
Okay.
look through my email.
Okay.
Richard
Look
has
at that,
them.
everybody. Everybody's
Yep.
so cool.
Do you feel so
Confusing.
lame that
I
you don't have one,
do.
Amy?
That I didn't
Yeah.
even, I hadn't even heard of it. That's how
I just had an
lame.
old EDU email floating around, and they'll let you have it for free.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's handy to keep if you can.
Until it's deactivated. Yes.
I know. Yeah. For everybody that's on Twitch, I'm gonna raid us over to Trost Codes. I think he's doing like his Christmas celebration thing with I think it's like a community fundraiser. So a lot of communities have collaborated,
Nice.
and he's got some amazing people that are on the stream with him. So if you're on Twitch, I'm gonna send you over there. If you're on YouTube, thanks everybody for watching and checking in. We will be off for a couple of weeks. I think it'll be 3 weeks before we come back and do another one, just being the holidays and such. So thanks everyone for sticking around and participating and commenting and stuff. And we'll catch you later.